It's happening again. More real slithering, saddlebags menacing. Ungodly paralysis, domination, neck-breaking sounds closing in. Slithering when you're asleep. Building darkness, beating on your rescue fear. Closing sleep, it's all real. Eyes open, breaking stage. Smile of death, turn to scar. Resisting pain, you will know all they pain. Moments of euphoria, you can feel her falling, taking over. Can't you see? She's sinking, disabled, stunned, fighting to stay alive. Screams for silence, past these walls. Flashes from the dead, demon on your chest. Why can't I wait? Here comes the hug, staring into your soul. Here comes the hug, you've lost all control. Here comes the hug, soul ripping skin. Here comes the hug, yeah. When will this end? I am forsaken forever. Slithering when you're asleep. Beating on your rescue fear. Another night, just a safety gun. Eyes open, breaking stain. Demon of misfortune. We're just a split of something
Brief moment of euphoria, you can feel her sinking, taking over. Can't you see? She's crawling, disabled, stunned, fighting to stay alive. Screams for silence. Past these walls, flashes from the dead, demon on your chest.
Why can't I wait? Brief moment of euphoria. You can feel her sinking, taking over. Can't you see? She's crawling, disabled, stunned, fighting to stay alive. Screams for silence. Past these walls, flashes from the dead, demon on your chest. Why can't I wait?
Hello and welcome to Talking Music number 15. Today we have with us Junior Abi Saleh, who's a drummer, a lyricist, and the main mind behind When the World Burns. He's also ex-member of Weeping Willow. We will be talking about the modern approach when it comes to releasing music. Things are changing, and we need to understand how are they changing and what should we do about it. So we're gonna be trying to answer the question: are albums dead? So, Junior, hello. How you doing?
Hi, how are you, Rami?
I'm good.
Hi,
I'm
everyone.
good. Are you ready?
Yeah, ready?
We're
Go
gonna
ahead.
have one of those conversations where we go on different subjects and detail, and we're not in a hurry. We're gonna take our time, and as always, when it comes to time, we go back to when everything started. So first, the usual question: this music, this metal music, that was probably initially rock music for you. How did you get into it?
Basically, it was in, I think, 88, where mainly we used to listen to a lot of music at home, but it was mostly French. And my uncle used to own a nightclub. So I used to go there as a kid, 10 years old, look at what they're doing, look at the DJ booth, like, they had all the LPs.
Yep.
And then he had just bought a new CD player, like a massive CD player with loads of decks. And I was going through the CDs and was listening to random stuff. And then I see this album, and on it there's like a metal statue, like of metal hadid.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my uncle, "What is this?" He's like, "No, no, 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 leave it. It's not good."
Yeah.
So tell us, as long when he said it's not good, this means it's good. So so I immediately put it, and I was listening.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I listened to a guitar sound, like distortion. And I was like, okay, this is, when your brain says like, okay, this is something weird. This is something I like, and I've never heard this before.
Mm-hmm.
So so what I did, I was doing a mixtape, and in the mixtape, I had one of these, like 2-3 minutes of this. And maybe 1-2 months passed by, and I kept on listening. And every time I'd go to this song, I'd repeat it all over again. I was like, what is this? I went to my uncle. He's like, I don't know what this is. This is noise. Like, fine. So I went to in Espace de Mille, there was like a discotheque or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I want this. Put it in, press play. I want this. He listened. He's like, oh, okay. And that's when he gave me it was my first CD at the time, was Metallica Ride the Lightning, and it was a hair metal band or something like from the early 80s called Salty Dogs or something like that.
Salty dogs. Okay.
So I went home, listened to it, and then there was the war. We went to Cyprus. When I went to Cyprus, there was a big tourist area, and there were loads of tapes. I would find things like old Alice Cooper, old Judas Priest, and I would buy stuff just by what they look like. Basically, Judas Priest, and then there was Stained Glass, Hellbent for Leather. It was like old late 70s albums, and I'd buy those and I put them, and then that's how I got hooked. And I didn't know anyone who listened to that type of music. وخلاص من هون we went downhill.
So it's a downhill thing, huh? By other
Yeah,
people's
yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, from other people's perspective.
And you got more and more into the heavier stuff and and
Exactly. So it was like my cousin who lived in Dubai once came, and he had like Morbid Angel and Slayer, and I was like, okay, and he had Napalm Death Scum, and I was like, something's wrong with your CD, your tape. He gave me a tape, Scum.
yeah.
I was like, man, the song is like, it's too short. It was like 5 seconds and then it's gone. I was like, there's something wrong with it. It doesn't fit well. And at the time, you're not really sure if you like or you don't like what you're listening to. It was like, I didn't listen to like Morbid Angel the first time. I was like, whoa, that's the best thing ever. I was like, this is weird. 1, 2, 3 listens, and then you get hooked.
Yeah.
And then you start doing these lists, used to get this piece of paper and write the name of the bands by alphabetical order.
Yeah.
And this is what I know, this is what I don't know, and then you show it to someone else. But this came later on because I didn't know anyone who listened to this type of music at the time at all. It took a couple of years, yeah.
But right from the start, you wanted to get to know more stuff. You had the curiosity.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
you can be listening to the radio and you'll hear that one hit pop song and that's it. You're never gonna go and search, what are the other tracks by Lady Gaga? You are never motivated to hunt down more music unless it's metal, it seems.
exactly, exactly. And it was desperation, like it was a kind of despair, wanting to have like other people who listen to this type of music.
Yeah,
So I used to go to Alphabet, this was in June, and get these Maxell 46-minute tapes and just record stuff on it, like slow, like Skid Row, Lita Ford, Doro, like mellow stuff to
yeah.
give to people. Maybe I can lure them in, because if I'm gonna put them Slayer and Metallica, they're gonna just run away.
It's too
So
much. Yeah,
yeah, I started slowly with those slow stuff, and no, people didn't react well to them. It was weird. It was frowned upon at the time because I was in a nun school. And it all also like it blew up when one day they decided to have like music during recess time. And somebody asked like, who wants to put the music during recess time? I did, me. So obviously the guy that was a math teacher told me, okay, you have like 15 minutes. And the whole thing it was like 15 seconds later, they canceled the whole thing because I played For Whom the Bell Tolls.
yeah,
I like the idea that you have bells and you're in a
yeah. It's
school.
like churchy style. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like bells, everyone's looking, because it was a big playground and people are looking like bells and then,
yeah.
like da, 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 and then, okay, they stopped it and they're like, okay, that's it. It's not gonna work.
How old were you at that time, more or less?
And I
Average.
started, and it's 88, 89. So when I started, must have been like 10 and a half, 11. And in school, when I did this, it was
Yeah,
13, I guess.
but
13.
I know that your brother is also part like into this music, and he's part of your current band, right?
Yeah.
So, and how is he older or younger than you?
No, Karim is younger. He's like 6 years younger than
So,
me.
so when you were 11, he was too far to know what rock is, like too
No,
young
no,
to know what that is.
it was too far. And then he used
Yeah.
to go, I used to tell him, listen to this or that. And I used to make sure that I don't give him the bad stuff.
Uh-huh.
So, and sometimes he used to sneak in, take my like tapes and go
Yeah.
listen to them and then put them back because
Okay.
he'd be always curious. Why didn't he give me this Samael tape or, Blood Ritual, Worship Him and all these. And I wanted to shield them from that stuff. So, but it didn't work. Yeah. And eventually he listened to everything. And then that was cool because at the end of the day, we listened to the same type of music.
That's nice. So you introduced your own brother to the metal music, and you were still young, but you still got him into it.
Yeah.
Did he ever blame you for getting him addicted to the music too?
No.
No regrets.
That's my influence, and that's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think it's very nice to share something with your brother, right? That you both enjoy doing and you're still doing. I have a certain question before we move on from that. At the moment, how much in common is your music taste with your brother's musical taste? Are you very different or still very much alike?
Came a phase where okay, so we're still in the rock family, in the rock category. Ibn Ammo Khaybayu, and we're still in the same family. But came a time where he went more into prog and I went more into black metal. So, and these worlds are totally different. We still liked our Slayers, Creators, and all these, but there were like some bands that I didn't understand Dream Theater at the time. I was like, this is too alien for me. And he was totally into it, just spending hours just playing guitar. And I was like, oh, I'd rather go headbang somewhere or like go out.
Yeah.
And then eventually, our musical taste like came back together because now whenever we send each other stuff, it's always like either dark or extreme stuff. So, or if it's something prog, it's something that actually I turned out to like. So no, actually, so it's a good I mean, we've had a good journey musically, I would say.
Yeah, so I'm just asking on that because I'm curious. It's like two brothers, same families, same way they grew up, same music they've listened to at the beginning, because you were sharing with him the same stuff. I was just curious because later on, every person develops his own taste in music. And me and my brother, for example, who also likes metal music, we have a very different taste. We both like metal, but a very different choice of tracks. And whatever he usually enjoys is not what I usually enjoy. I guess maybe in some years later we might converge to the same taste, but for now we're at that phase where we're a bit
And
apart.
we had this phase where I would go
Yeah,
into, let's say, I became a phase where we were into Rhapsody, Hammerfall, and we're like, okay, Blind Guardian, this is new, this is nice, this is epic,
yeah,
but it died out so quickly, like literally, it was something really, really quick.
yeah. It feels like the power metal days weren't too the years. The power metal years weren't as long as the other metal years. It feels
No,
like.
no, no, no. I mean, you have nice bands like Halloween. Okay, yeah, these guys will stay. They're classics, but there are some of them.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's not for me.
So you got into the metal, you got to know more and more bands, you enjoyed what you listened to, you got your brother a bit into it. But until that point, you still weren't playing any instrument. That came a
No,
moment where you said, aha, I want to play this, I want to play that, I want to be a musician. When was that
yes,
moment and how did that happen?
it came because of a Lebanese drummer actually, and a good friend. So we went once to BUC. It was LAU. It was called BUC at the time, and there was a concert. There was Exceed Haitham Al Khatib, amazing vocalist. And then there was some band called Black Rose. And then at the end came a band like wearing all black. I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then it was Dogma. And I was like baffled. I was like, what is this? There was Sako on the keyboards, like, and they had the look, the long hair, the goatees, wearing all black, and they had the look for it. So you're immediately like attracted to what they're doing. And I've never had seen anything like that. And they had a vocalist called Vanni, very nice guy, very down to earth. And as soon as they started playing and Carlos was playing drums, I was like, man, what is this? This is out of this world. Because you'd see, okay, the others playing, it was nice and everything, but when I saw him playing like double pedal and going like headbanging at the same time, I was like, because back in the day also we didn't have music videos. It
Yeah,
was very rare. Some on YouTube, oh, I want to see what like Decapitated
yeah.
release. You just and you watch. And this is when I said, you know what, this is what I want to try and do.
Okay,
That was a sign.
so seems like seeing the band live is something that dragged you into like yeah, attracted you to the instrument itself, to playing the instrument. And yeah, it's difficult to imagine today that you in those days you couldn't see a band playing unless you imported a VHS from somewhere.
Everything. I still have my VHSs,
Yeah,
and it was very hard to find them because there was no MTV at the time. There was nothing. There was these on LBC. They would put like this top 20, and you'd
yeah,
wait just to see if you can get a distortion out of one song. Feel proud. Yeah, there's a rock song on or something.
yeah. I
And
know.
the heaviest thing was Pet Shop Boys maybe at the time, so it didn't
On
wasn't for us.
yeah, on LBC they actually played once a Jistro Tull concert, and my dad taped it on VHS. And this is when
Okay,
I was 3 to 4 years old, and I stole it, and I was like watching Jistro Tull on a VHS, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't understand it that well. It's just like funny guys with the beards and the hair, but that got me
yeah,
into the rock music and the whole thing. But yeah, the access to seeing band playing wasn't much of a thing. Today, like choose any band, you go online, type the name, and you can watch it with the best audio
exactly.
quality you'd like. So you got into like you wanted to learn the drums and play the drums, and then what?
And then actually you need money to buy drums because drums are expensive,
Yeah,
and I didn't have money at the time, so it was like grandma gives you a bit, this guy gives you a bit, and then you put them together, and then I had $150 for a whole drum kit, plus two cymbals,
Yeah.
and it was a Linko used drum kit. I didn't know how to put it together. It took me like ages. I looked at the pedal. I'm like, okay, what does this do? You know, this goes down, but yeah.
How do you attach
And
it and how does it work?
how do you attach it? I didn't know you had to put a rug, because then, okay, I sat down, started playing. I used to use a chair, like those normal chairs.
Yeah.
Then it's uncomfortable. So there's nothing like you have these days. Okay, you go onto YouTube, they teach you about drum height, about how your feet should be, and how you should position your. There was none of these. I hadn't seen any book or anything that teaches you about drums.
Yeah.
So basically, I said, okay, let me search for a teacher. So I heard about Walid Tawil at the time. He's an amazing drummer, but he's an amazing jazz fusion drummer. But I wasn't in this mindset. I wanted to play doom. That this is what I wanted to play. Like,
So did you
things
ask
that I
him?
listened to. Yeah, so it didn't turn out well the first time we met, because I went there with my Samael CD and I want to play this, and he looked at me and he's like, in his head, like, what is this idiot? You know, because you have to learn how to play. And he showed me this book with all the notes. I'm like, no. Listen, how do I play this? And he's like,
Yeah.
I didn't have the money, so I had like 1 or 2 sessions, because it was $20 for 40 minutes. So it was either 1 or 2 sessions. This is all I could afford, and I wanted to get the best out of it. And I did these 2 sessions, and basically it wasn't what I wanted; it was what he wanted.
Yeah.
And I took these 2 sessions, and after that, it was just on my own until for a very long time, actually, trying to discover how to play.
I see. There's an interesting comment from Muna. She said, "You know when you're old, you know that you're old when you remember bands like Dogma." So
True, man. And they were honestly they were awesome. They were awesome. Lusa, Carlos, Sacco, and they were awesome.
I want to ask a question that I can only ask to a drummer. How do you find the place to place the drums and practice on them without the police visiting you, the neighbors breaking your door, the whatever, all that fuss? How do you find the place to practice?
Now, I was very, very lucky. This perspective is especially that because we live we're in a house, not in a building, on our own.
Yeah.
And we were one of the first people to build a house in Adama at the time. So there we had no neighbors. It was just us. So when people started to build around us, we were already there, so deal with it. You know, you go to a place and there's 3 dogs barking. You know, okay, there's 3 dogs barking. It's not you going, oh, the neighbor just moved in with 3 dogs barking. It's the total opposite.
I see.
And we had a big garage. So it was just in the garage. And this was our rehearsal space later for Arcane, for the first band I played with inside with Weeping Willow. Now we built a studio like inside the garage, like a proper studio. So this was the starting point. We've had a couple of times where, you know, you see that where the lights, you know, with the Jeep comes, and then, you know, they complain because somebody complained, but
not much.
No. We were lucky. This was a blessing, to be honest, because I know the struggle of finding a place to play drums or a place like to rehearse. It's not easy, especially like now. I can't have a proper acoustic drum set.
Yeah, I see. So it is a struggle for the drummers, right? So you were lucky because I wanted to play the drums, and the difficulty was find a place to put them and avoid the neighbors' complaints. That's like the number one thing. And you see those guitar players, they just unplug it. You know, they practice without the amp. The bassist, even with the amp, they're silent. I see. There's a guy. His name is Rani Batik. He's guessing. Is that the guy from When the World Burns?
I think he plays with us. Does he?
I'm not sure. We'll figure out. We'll figure out along the way. So you started playing. You got the place to practice. You were playing the drums, learning how to play the drums. If I wouldn't say, would you say confidently you were playing drums or you were learning how to play the drums?
No. I was learning. Actually, I was learning. Not ashamed about it. There was no books. There was no teachers. There was no money. I had a
Yeah.
shitty drum set.
So
So
yeah. So how did you start like playing with the first band, and what was that? How did the first band, start?
I was in an first band. I was in NDU actually.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I was in NDU, and then there were a couple of guys who were playing alternative, and
Okay,
they
cool.
wanted the drummer, and one of them was the son of the owner of Magic 102 at the time. His name was Mike. Uh, and he said, okay. And I had the long hair and I had the look. And I said I had the drum set. So they assumed that I knew how to play because,
Okay.
like a long hair, goatee, he has a drum set, he has a place, like, should be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them, like, I'm totally new. And that's where I learned with them. And some of them were actually quite experienced players. Like, there was an experienced bassist, an experienced guitarist,
Yeah.
and they had some notions. So they were like, helping me with the time. And then, like a couple of months later, we played a concert in BUC, which was where the first time I saw Dogma. And the opening there was also like, not the opening, but there were many bands. There was like a kind of a band competition. There was Grey Scroll, there was Exceed were just playing as guests there also. So it was nice that the first time I saw Exceed from the crowd, and the next time I was like playing on the same stage, it was really awesome. And I had somebody next to me, Joe. I was so scared. I had somebody next to me telling me, "Don't worry, like chill and calm down, breathe." Yeah.
Yeah, it's
At the
stressful
end,
the first
it's
time,
just
right?
alternative. You can't go that wrong with alternative, just playing steady beats. So I managed to do okay.
Okay, so it went okay. That one went okay.
That
So
was
I just found something here that's interesting to share. So that drums we were talking about and the setup in the garage and all of that is
yeah,
this place,
yeah, that was me.
right? So that's like
Yeah,
from the beginning. That's the
yeah. If
long
you see on
hair.
the right,
Yeah.
exactly, if you see on the right, there's a stereo. So what I try to do is blast the music
Uh huh.
on the stereo, and then try to play with it, but it never worked because the drums were too loud. So I used to be totally like frustrated, like it's not loud enough. How do I play? So you try to listen, you try to sing the song like "I Am at Sleeping Beauty," and these were like songs I tried to play on at the beginning. And as you can see, the drums it was a mess. Like, and look at the cymbal, like even the angle is wrong. Everything was wrong about these drums.
And what about the microphone? What was that for?
The microphone there was a guy called Philippe Abed, and Philippe was a guitar. He was a guitarist,
Okay.
and he was a guitarist that I knew from Tabarja Beach where we used to go, and he used to keep his microphone there, and he had like a guitar and an amp. We used to try and jam. I used to try and jam with him. He was pretty good at the time.
Nice, nice. I'm still
Yeah,
trying to guess. I probably some people would recognize this, but I haven't. So what
Chaos
is
AD.
this band supposed to be?
Sepultura, Chaos AD.
Okay, because yeah, so you had it behind you like your own poster shirt kind of thing.
Yeah, and the CDs were on the table, on the white table on the other
Yeah,
side.
I see it here.
Uh,
Nice. So that was like the starting practice point. Now it's more of a studio today. You said.
yeah, now it's a full-fledged studio that we've been working on, me and my brother. Like, I mean, that's where I want to grow old and die, basically. I hope one day if I die in the studio.
Playing the music you like
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
enjoy. So at some point you started to get more and more serious. Like you got into a project that you started or you're part of. Now you can clarify that. You had a
Yeah,
connection to.
were not what I wanted. Musically, I wanted like, like growls, like take it more metal, death, doom, with orchestra, etc. Uh, but he wanted another direction. And this is where at the end we had also a pianist, a keyboardist with us called Jean-Louis. He was one of the main members, and this is when we clashed musically. It was too many people who wanted to slow it down, and I was the only one who wanted to pump it up.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I wrote some lyrics, and they were like, no way, this is too dark, this is too So yeah, at the end I was like, okay, guys, it's not gonna work because it's not what I want, actually. So Karim, Cyril, there was Jean-Louis, and all the others. They continued the band, and then that's when I exited. But we stayed friends. I stayed. I used to watch their rehearsals, sometimes jam with them. We stayed very good friends for a very. We're still friends to this day.
Mm-hmm.
But musically, we weren't getting along at all.
So that's fine. Like the direction where the band went is not where you wanted to go with it, and it's a group decision. So you cannot force
Yeah,
the group to steer, right?
exactly.
Um,
If you have like 3, 4 people who wanted to go in one direction and you're on your own,
yeah,
you're like, okay, look, no, it's not gonna work.
I see. So Arcane went forward and released 2 albums, right? The ones I'm holding here.
Yes,
And your brother was
yes,
still part of the band, so we have credited here your brother Karim on both
yes,
albums.
yes.
And they had a drummer, Brahim Nassar, was it, on drums
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
record.
People. He joined after I left, and he stayed with them till the end.
Mm-hmm.
So has Karim. And
And
you have also Mona, who was in the chat. So she was also the vocalist of Arcane.
I see. But the band is not at the moment active anymore, right?
No, 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 no. It's not active anymore.
Also, unfortunately. So, but it seems like the people involved in the band continued their own path to making more music, right? So you
Yeah,
went forward, and we'll talk about your path forward and made more music. And from the band, we know, yeah, at least your brother is also making music, and
yeah,
some other members that I hope later on I'll get the chance to talk to also have continued forward, and they have some interesting projects. So maybe in later episodes we'll have someone from Arcane or someone
yeah,
who was in Arcane at some point to also tell us his story forward beyond Arcane. But I would
yeah.
say the albums were quite interesting music, and I would have loved to hear a third and a fourth one. But not all bands continue forever, right?
True.
So you decided to move away from this project and get into something that's more you, right? That you feel that's where I belong, and that was a very less known band from a guy with the guy called Garo in the band.
Yeah.
Uh, that we're talking about Weeping Willow. So how
Exactly.
did you end up or go and become part of Weeping Willow?
Once there was Peak FM, and I was at Dunkin' Donuts, and there was a concert, and I think they were playing there, and I watched them, and I was like, okay, there's something. They had a guy called Farid. They were like black metal at the time. I was like, okay, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw them at Mad Wheels in La Cité. I think it was called Mad Wheels at the time. And I didn't know the guys, so I just used to go there and like mosh and go crazy and meet people, and it was a nice community. And then once I was in Dunkin' Donuts, uh, and then I see Garo, Clement, Gino, Marco, like with their friends, like there were like maybe 8, 9 guys, all wearing black, completely smashed, like like they had been like heavy drinking and going up the stairs, like noise, like just like being metal, like metalheads, just like being loud, being like talking about music. And I was like sitting there, and I'm looking like, I'd like to be there. It's nice. Like they had a very very positive vibe,
Yeah.
and this is what it's a positive vibe. And we started talking, and then they wanted a drummer. They had a guy called Pierre. I think he left. They needed a drummer. I said, I want to play drums. And we did the first rehearsal again at the same place where Arcane used to rehearse, which is in our house in Adma. And that's where it kicked off. It was me, Garo, Gino, Marco, and Clement.
I see. So again, you were right from the beginning there, and you joined the band. You you were automatically on drums. They at the time, so that was which year, more or less, 1999.
I think it was either 99 or 2000 because I remember I just came back from I went to Greece alone to go watch Septic Flesh. Just got on
Okay.
a plane. It was my first trip. I just landed there to go see them, and I came back and I ended up in an hotel with In Flames, like spending 2 days of my holidays with In Flames. I didn't. It was like a dream,
Yeah.
and I came back, and I think it was 2000 because I remember, and I was talking so much about it,
Yeah.
and then we were rehearsing. So it must have been like beginning 2000, maybe mid 2000 or beginning 2000. Can't remember, but this
Okay.
was the time.
So, but that's really like the beginning, right? Very early on.
Yeah, that's
And
when I joined. They were from before. They were called in 1997, I think, Opposites, and
mhm,
then they moved to Weeping Willow. Then they changed the style because it was before black metal, and then it went into another direction.
I see. And almost a year later, you started working on the first demo, right? That was Garden of Misery, and that's 2001. Just a year later, right?
Yes, this was in September 2001.
By.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in September 2001, we decided to record, but at the time, it was a very interesting way of recording because we had no clue how to record, what to do, how do we record guitar, how do we record drums, no clue. It was just, we were just guys with like amplifiers, and it was all cheap stuff, whatever we had, honestly. Like I had cheap drums,
Yeah.
were like Lean amplifiers, because later on you'd see we all upgraded, but at the time it was all like basic stuff. We whenever I'd break any sticks, I'd like get Chartiton and like
Fix it.
pay 20, exactly, pay $20 to get sticks. I didn't have the money at the time, so we decided to record the demo. And Garo told us, like, in Betshar there's a guy called Joe Baroujan. He used to do something on LBC,
Mm-hmm.
like for Arabic music, and it was an amazing experience, but it was also amazingly weird
Yeah.
because now looking back, you laugh at what happened. Like, how did we not know? You could not know. So we went there. There
Yeah.
was Ralph who was recording Joe Khoury's brother, and
You
he
were
told him, okay,
22
sorry,
years old, right? By then.
yeah,
So
I
very
was young.
young guy, right? Trying to
I'm
record his first
very young.
thing.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
20 years. That's 20 years ago. I'm 22. Yeah, I'm 42 now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we went into the studio, and the guy said, okay, you're gonna record live.
Yeah.
Okay. I had no idea that you record every instrument on its own, metronome, all these, no clue. We just went there. Each one was in his own space.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, where do the drums go? And then he says the drums go in the room over there. I was like, and how do I see the guy? In
Yeah.
another room.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And in this room, there was like this little kinfita'a, like a small
Window opening.
window.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on my left. There was the drums, and it was on my left, and the guys were behind. And we were playing the album like live. It was tick, 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 start.
Yeah.
And in the early days, you don't know them all by heart, or you need to look at the guitarist, what he's doing, and when he does this, yeah, that's where you have to go in now with the crash so that you change
Yeah.
and all that. So most of the time I was doing this and that, and it was crazy, but
Yeah.
we had fast. It was one take, the whole thing as it is,
Mm-hmm.
and there was also a microphone like for the pedal, like on the bass drum, and the bass drum was moving, so the microphone would move, would fall off, and there's so many parts where you don't hear the bass drum anymore. And then we told the guy's like, I'm sending it to Switzerland, they will fix everything. And we're like, okay, that's هيدا متجليطة يعني, send it to Switzerland. We're like, the man, we don't know this, we need to repeat this part, we need to repeat this part. He's like, no, don't worry, everything will be fixed.
Yeah.
So, but again, keep in mind, that there was no other recording at the time, like death metal recording. There was Cimmerian Path,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it. There was no other band who released anything.
Yeah.
So we tried, and Garo got the place, and he got also the funding to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was a dentist, like who helped us out. A very nice guy, actually, to help us out with this. We had to repay him, but at least he lent us the money.
But
And then,
I have to pause you there. Without,
yeah,
maybe if you don't want to go into private names and stories, that's totally acceptable. I don't
yeah.
want to dig into people's private lives. But for a dentist to trust the band, lend them money to record the death metal album, and then expect to get it back, how does that work?
He was a dentist of one of the guys in the band, and
Yeah.
he used to have a rock band back in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
So مرتاح انه it was lending money يعني $1500 ما بتحكي انه lending money $10,000
Okay, but
انه
yeah.
he did it, man. Yeah, he did it, and this is how. Look, it wasn't easy. I couldn't have done it. Sorry, at the time, couldn't have done it.
Okay.
I mean, so basically, Garo was able to do it, and him and Clement they were able to get the funding at the place. We recorded, and they went somewhere in Beirut to get the printing done. It was too expensive to get something fully colored with everything.
Yeah.
And so we released the first demo. We wanted something we could listen. You know, this is when you're doing music. You can't listen to it unless you're playing with the band.
Yeah.
And half of the time you're thinking about what you're playing. You're not really enjoying. So yeah, that was it.
So that was Garden of Misery, 2001,
Yeah.
and that's the best picture I have of the cover.
Yeah. Now this picture, it's Marco that's drawn this picture.
Yeah.
So this is not from the internet or somewhere. This is Marco actually drew this. It's a painting that he has done. It's awesome. We once saw the original. It wasn't green. It had colors in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, would have been far too expensive to do it the way we do it these days.
But I would love to see the original if there's a chance to
Yeah.
find that
I
one and
think-
post it
I think he should-
somewhere.
I think Marco should have it somewhere.
Okay, so the original exists still somewhere.
Yeah.
I see. Then you continued. So how was the? That's a demo with not the best setup to record, not the best, whatever. But how did the people respond to it? How did you distribute it? Like you put it on CDs and you gave it to people, or?
At the time, it was crazy. We actually sold a lot of these albums of the first album
Mhm.
because at the time there was no streaming, there was no Spotify and all these, and it was all basically on CD. So we had posters done, and on the posters there was my number, Garo's number, Clement's number. People would call us. I went to this jockey at Billboard in Junior,
Yeah.
and told me, yeah, we'll put it with the other, was like Acheron and like Pestilence CDs. We'll put them together.
Yeah.
Like, and we were like happy, like, yeah, our CDs are with the other guys' CDs, like down where, as Ajud Darak, and they.
Yeah.
It was fun. There was a thrill about this, and then you'd go there and you'd ask the guy, how many did you sell? Oh, I sold 10 today, etc. And you'd always be ripped off. Yeah, but I'm gonna give you only this much. I don't know, but it was fun. I mean, we had fun with it, and sometimes people used to call us, just meet us here, meet us in Kaslik, meet us. So we'd drive, go there, give them the CDs, and it was nice.
Yeah, but it's like something you've did. You're happy about it. You're proud. You want to share it. You want to show it, right? So,
Yeah. No,
Yes.
I know, like, I wish I could record it all over again. It would be totally different. But
Yeah.
at the time, you're talking 2001 Lebanon, there was one release other than what we had done.
Cimmerian.
And, and that was it. So,
Okay.
no regrets. I love it. It has amazing memories. Everything was true about it. It was nice.
But you did mention something that so far all the people I talked to didn't mention, that there is a specific like release that you wish you could get the chance to re-record it. So this is like one thing if you had the chance to re-record it, you would. This specific demo?
If I had to re-record anything, it would be this one, yes, because you know, there is an emotional attachment to these songs
Mm-hmm.
because at this time we're like growing up. It wasn't easy. Uh, the lyrics really reflected the way we think. It was kind of very it was very angry, and I think the recording didn't do it much justice. So if I was to personally, if I was to record anything all over again,
Mm-hmm.
I'd record it.
So we can well, the people are still there and they're still doing music. Most of who were part of this are still there. I mean, you can still get the chance to re-record it as a, as a new
In our
version, as a
70s,
bonus track somewhere.
maybe in our 70s. بس الخطية. I will see.
Why not?
We're
Why
all
not?
here. We talk to each other. We're really good friends.
So after that, 3 years later, you recorded the album Mentally Decayed, right?
Yes. Now, mentally decayed. We recorded it. Is now we knew what we shouldn't do. Shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
play live, and we shouldn't play one take
Yeah.
and just believe somebody who tells us we're gonna send it to Switzerland. So
Yeah.
we went, and there we had there was Manu. Uh, he was a kind of a sound engineer, and we recorded the space somewhere in Jalidib or Zalqa. I can't remember. It's where we recorded track by track. It was still the guy listened to metal, but not our type of metal. George Basil was involved, and he wanted the vocals down. And because he's like, Darak, Madarak, let's keep the vocals down, not too much screaming. So,
Yeah.
and he had the funds for it. So we were like, in a way, and there are things you would want to do, but again, there's the environment. There's people getting cut, their haircut, put in jail, etc. The whole devil music thing that was the ridiculous thing that was at the time. So we managed to record this album, and there was one funny incident there. Every time we'd record, and we'd stay there for hours till late at night, and we'd hear like, who's this? And we'd look, and there was this old lady just standing there in front of you'd look there, just
Yeah.
standing there. We'd crack up and go like, man, this is just like Psycho, like, like, like with the knife. And then we'd go and come back, and she's still there. And we're like, man, how are we going to get out of here? We don't know. Like, he was really, really weird.
Yeah.
But, not to be one woman, like really old age and living in the building, and was annoyed by the sound, and would stand there like for like hours in front of the door.
To make a
"Taisi علينا.
statement.
Taisi علينا." Oh,
Yeah, so she was stubborn, always there. How did you also deal with this one as a release? Also same way, like printed, had the CDs, had your numbers, drove, met with people, gave them physical copies, kind of the same way as before.
No, this was a bit different, just because now we had it was George who was involved. Garo at the time was working at Virgin, so he managed to have them in Virgin Megastore. So we're really happy about this. And we managed to have them again in other like discotheques, like I think there was Discorama, then there was Billboard and Disc Jockey. So we managed to have it all around.
So
And,
that's 2004, I guess. Like selling
2004.
CDs, buying CDs was the trend, right? Everybody was buying CDs.
It was still there. It was still there, but this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is where I think MP3 or something started,
So Napster
or was gonna start.
okay.
Can't remember exactly the date, but it's good to mention here is that this album was done with Gino and with Zuzu Khoury, who was Diadems at the time.
Who was?
With Diadems, the band Diadems.
Diadems.
So the first album had Ralph and Clément. Ralph on vocals, Clément on guitars, and on the second one, the vocals was Gino, and then there was Zuzu Khoury on guitars.
And I guess that's where I was got a bit more familiar with Weeping Willow. I saw the band live several times with Gino on vocals. I've never seen the band Yeah, so you were much more live active after the second album, I would say.
Correct. We've played a lot of concerts live, like it was so many Rock Nations opening for Theater of Tragedy, and then it started to go like up and up. Apocalyptica.
Nice.
Yeah. We had very nice concerts, very, very nice days with a lot of nice bands.
Until 2007, then you released yet again another album, the third
Yes.
Portal, and that was also with Gino. So right?
Yes,
So
correct.
let me quickly just show that. So the second album was Mentally Decayed. We were talking about this one. So here, that's a photo. That's no longer a painting with some editing to it, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then you had the third album was like every time with every album, the album art is improving and improving in an interesting way. So that's third Portal.
Yeah, it's a very nice concert.
Yeah, so here there's a concept in it. There's much more, visual editing, and softwares have become a bit better between 2001 and 2007, right? That would allow the visual. And later on, so we'll get back to album art because there's a big section to talk a bit more about album art. So the evolution of the software has allowed the bands to also add much more visual to what they make musically, right?
Yeah.
So the third Portal had the same lineup, more or less, as Mentally Decayed, or
No, there was Lies and Jim on guitars. So
Aha.
Zuzukhuri, exit Zuzukhuri,
Yeah.
enter Lies and Jim. The rest were the same.
see.
We recorded it with the same with Mano, and Sami Gabriel also was involved on it.
How was he involved?
With the recording.
Ah,
But
okay.
Sami had some experience with the recording. Again, recording is not an easy experience when, you need to know, like, there are things that you really need to study, actually, or read a lot about.
Mhm.
It's not just press record and sing or play the drums, and that's it, how to set the mics, how many, like, guitars you need to record on top of each other, and all these things which they knew about.
Okay.
The vocal lines, like sometimes if you wouldn't realize really if they're off or not off, because you'd be recording, and then they'd have the ear to listen, okay, this is off or this is on.
If you wanted to pick a track from Weeping Willow that you really like, which one would it be?
Tyrant of the Fall
Let me see if I can find it.
would be the last one. It's the last one on the album.
Yeah, I'm checking quickly on YouTube. I'm thinking I will play one. It's not a long track, right? Not much longer track. 2 minutes and 43 seconds. So I'll play that one. Okay, we'll listen to it. And meanwhile, for the people watching us, this is not super interactive, but still interactive. So you can still write questions for Junior. I can ask him during our talk. And also you can, I don't know, tell us some stories that Junior never want to tell. Okay, so we're gonna play Weeping Willow, Tyrant of the Fall. Let's see if that goes well.
Fallen, the fallen, the
So from here, I have some questions.
Yeah.
There's a question from Muna. She's asking, "What's the song you enjoyed playing the most in live concert?"
Like I like this song Tyrant a lot. Now I like it because like it's like the lyrics I've always wanted. I like the lyrics. I wrote a part of these lyrics, so I really relate to it. And at the same, but one of the favorite was live with the people's reaction was Painful Mirror from the first demo, because I mean the crowd would go crazy. I mean this was the best feeling ever, like seeing the crowd what was going on while we're playing Painful Mirror, especially the end part.
Mhm.
It was nice.
So you got into the band. You had the demo, then an album, then another album. You were enjoying what you're doing. You love that
Yes.
music. You found yourself in Weeping Willow, not in the other
Not only
bands.
the music and the guys. I mean,
The people.
this wasn't a band. Again, it wasn't just a band. Like,
Mhm.
okay, I'll نلعب music. لا, it was like friends, brothers. Like, man, we
Yeah,
lived through ups and downs together.
I see.
So that's why the connection is really, really strong. That's why yeah, I have Weeping Willow on my back, and I've done it like the tattoo after I traveled to Dubai. Not while I was in the band. After I exited the band, I did the tattoo. So it was like,
Yeah,
so there is this emotional connection, not just, okay, like guys playing music and, oh man, a guitarist قوي وخلاص. No, it's not that.
I see. So that means there's several different connections between you and the band, like the music, the
Yeah,
people. You enjoy being with them,
exactly.
spending the
Yeah.
time, the days you've lived. But then at some point, you had to leave the band.
Yes, what happened is after the 2006 war,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to move to Dubai.
Yeah,
And at the time, it was a very difficult decision because, you know, it was, I'm going to leave my brothers behind. I'm going to leave the band behind. Although, look, listen, we're not doing we're not making money out of it. There's no fame and rich and famous and all that stuff or touring the world. But, you know, you live once, and we were really enjoying it. But then that's it, you know, that's what Lebanon does to you. It screws you. So I decided to leave. And I left to Dubai. The guys were extremely supportive. I even got a guitar goodbye gift from them with an amplifier when I left. So yeah, I decided to go to Dubai, but it was the thing that every Lebanese said at the time, which was, I'll leave for 2 years and I'll come back.
yeah.
40 years later, and with gray hair and a small kid, I'm still in Dubai. So yeah,
So
so
that thing happens a lot with a lot of people I talk to. They're at some point like they're having whatever the everything they'd like to have and they're comfortable, but something else forces them to leave. Mostly is the career, mostly is other conditions. They have to break away from that, and you always think it's just gonna be short, like just a year or two, and I'll be back. And yeah, I know that I've been through it. So I've been 7 years where I am, and it was supposed to be 2, and still going. So you left the band. You had to leave the band. You went into Dubai. You
yeah.
were still a metalhead. You were still a musician. How did you like look for the metal scene there and get into it?
Okay, now here when I left to Dubai, I was still in connection with the band. So I wasn't there, but at the time I was still there because I had just left and not enough time had passed, No, okay. If I happened to be there, so I played a couple of gigs with them during these years after I left, which was 2009 with Anathema and To Die For, then 2014 in Yukunkun,
Mm-hmm.
and then my final concert with them was in 2017, the opening for Grave. During that time. So I moved to Dubai, and I was focusing on my career here. Because if there was, for me personally, if there was no Weeping Willow at the time, so it was, look, the love for, okay, I play drums, but the love for drums is not the love of only the instrument, it's the love of the guys playing together this music.
Yeah.
So I would tell you, if there's no more, one day there's no more distortion in this world, I'll throw the drums away. So it's the music that attracts me to play the drums. It's not the drums that is attractive to me. Yeah, exactly. It's metal. That's it. So I came to Dubai. I mean, focused on my career. Was watching concerts. My girlfriend at the time, my wife also joined me here. So we were like building our future here in Dubai.
Which year was that?
That was 2007. When I left.
Right, when you left. And how old were you, more or less? Just
2007?
28, 29. Okay, still a 20s guy.
And still a 20s guy.
Focusing on career. That's totally normal.
And I'll come back and we'll continue and this whole thing. During the summer, I didn't have a drum set, didn't really play drums. Whenever I'd go to Lebanon, I'd play. But this is where I was more career focused. I needed to do something with my career. And I met a lot of amazing people here in Dubai, a lot of amazing people. And a lot of them would tell me, come play with us, join us. Because I was like, I will not play with a metal band, like death metal band or anything like that, as long as I have ties to Weeping Willow. This was my motto at the time, is like, there is so much connection with these guys that I don't want to just, find again another group of guys and and all that stuff. So I was like, there was too much work, too much things involved, like building a house and all that stuff. So
yeah,
wasn't much focused on this. I met Haysam from Exceed, and he's like, come play with us, for jams. So we played jams like in the music room, like we played maybe around 10 gigs, the jazz festival, there's a place called the Music Room, the Blue Bar. We played gigs here. It was like a bit of Megadeth, a bit of Led Zeppelin, a bit of their own originals. I mean, we had a nice time, but for me, it was this was the type of band which was okay. Yeah, I'm gonna play a bit for a while, and then that's it. Yeah, there was no connection.
Just relaxed and fun, nothing to commit to.
Yeah, exactly. And I really liked Haysam's voice, man. He's out of this. He's really talented, this guy. And again, I was watching him. Then I played on the stage a year later with another band when I was still young.
Yeah.
And then like years later, I'm playing with this guy. So, yeah.
So anyone watching this, if you'd like us to have Haysam as a guest talking in Arabic, let us know if that would be a thing that you'd be interested in. Okay. So you were approached by some bands who wanted you to be part of them, right? Part of the band, at least, I don't know, to record, to play live, right?
Basically, it was some to record, to play live.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't give it much thought at the time.
Tell me a bit about the relation with Aramaic.
Aramaic, I met Fadi, Serge, and Michel at the time. Yeah. And I was like, these guys are amazing, like really cool guys. But I wasn't too much involved in the scene yet. I'd go to the concert, watch, leave. Mm-hmm. I didn't get involved a lot. I met the guys, but I was like, okay, this is all over Lebanon, all over again. And I
Yeah.
didn't want to get into this. And I have my career on the other hand. And the guys were like, why don't you play with us?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, because I still had this تعرف إنه I had this tie back home,
Yeah, it's 2 years
which
and you're back for Weeping Willow.
exactly إنه خلص مش حرزانة, I will come and then بيصير في زعل or something like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't play with them. Now, until recently, يعني I re-approached them later on. I was like, guys, can I play with you? And then that was a different story.
How did they reply to that?
The first time they're like, yeah, come play with us. And I was like, no, I'm going back to Lebanon. Then in 2018, I was like, guys, you don't have a drummer. Can I play? They're like, okay, if you record yourself playing our tracks and you send them to us, and then we decide. Like, okay. So I said, put the camera, like recording myself, send it to them one by one. I played all the tracks. And then I joined also Aramaic.
And you got to play that with them live in several events.
That here I need to say a big thank you to Joe Seen and Hamad Jaber and Nahla, because they made this hypocrisy event happen. And for me, I opened with Aramaic for one of my top heroes, Peter Tactran. And on top of that, cherry on the cake, we got to spend the day on a boat with them. So they're stuck with us. They can't go anywhere. Not like they're in a nightclub. They can go somewhere or go to their... No. With us on the same boat. So, and they were amazingly friendly, down to earth. I was shocked because you had, this rush. How will they react? Will they be nice? Are they gonna screw my whole childhood by being assholes?
Yeah,
which they didn't. They were...
I hear that a lot, that when you have that hero, your hero, and you meet your hero, like some people say never meet your heroes.
Look, I was with Abed Agha, one of Walid's friends. He introduced me to one guy who was a total asshole, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't listen to this band anymore. No way. I'm not going to say the name of the band. But he was just like, we were shocked. We're like, whoa, like, okay, fine. So I can't really listen to this band anymore.
Is it an international one or local?
No, international.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Khavar or something.
No, Khavar are my brothers. No.
I'm just joking. Yeah, so that's it. Like, you sometimes meet the people, get to know a bit their character, and you start to hate their music because you hate them. They give you that.
And it's the other way around. When you meet some people and they're totally cool, this is when you like them even more.
Yeah.
Like hypocrisy, like when Garo once introduced us to Derek Rody, just like when I met the Agatha Damien guys, how nice they were. Like, it's crazy. Like, they change the way they get you much more involved because, they just act normal. They don't act like all ego and whole, and you feel like a Lithuanian. No,
they're not unreachable, untouchable. They're just like you, and
exactly.
they're there to be just friendly chaps. Okay. So you were with Aramaic playing in 2018, and not much long after. That's something that I don't know. Was your brother in Dubai at the same time, or he moved later to Dubai?
My brother didn't move. My brother's still in Beirut.
Still in Lebanon. So
I'm the only one who's in Dubai.
With your brother in Lebanon, and the garage fixed as a studio, and you're still in Dubai. You decided to form a new project, and later on, the bassist Rani joined you, or right from the start? How did that happen? No. How did that project start?
The way it happened is when when there was no more ties with, and there was no more Weeping Willow. It was the end, and they played their last concert opening for Decapitated, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Garo formed Khavar. This is when I was like, okay, now I need to do something, because, you stay 10, 14 years abroad, and then you can't just keep on hanging on old memories. You need just do something else. And I decided to form a band with my brother, and I'm like, we built a studio for this. So if you go on our page, you'll see like we've got drum risers, the whole room, screens and stuff, like microphones. We're equipping it, and my brother is getting into this. So I looked at him like, let's do something, me and you. Like, we've always been searching for other people, and like we're just sitting in front of each other, and we live like in the same place. So we decided to form When the World Burns. So I joined Aramaic, and I formed When the World Burns in the same year.
Okay, so that was the start. That was the
Yes,
start
and we
when
needed a bassist. So it was me and my brother, guitars, drums,
Mhm.
and then uh, and then we needed a bassist. And then my brother suggested Rani. I didn't know Rani. I knew of Rani.
Yeah.
So I'd look at all his pictures and I'd know Rani, and he like, thrash metal guy looks angry on stage. And I was like, okay, I'm like, are you sure? He looks angry, man, all the time. Like, he's like, no, man, he's a very nice guy. And I'd never met him. So we met, and it's actually going really good. It's just the three of us, and we decided not to have a fixed vocalist.
I've actually never met an angry bassist so far.
Oh yeah,
And
true.
if
Yeah,
anyone
you're
knows
right.
an angry bassist, please just write it in the comments. Let us discover the angry bassist. So why did you like from the start decide on the name, like When the World Burns?
Yes, the reason behind this name is I've always been a huge fan of everything that's apocalyptic, that's destruction of the world, and how the world will end, and if there are zombies roaming everywhere, and how was the world before, and what if there are other galaxies that have been burned, like this whole thing of destruction. And now the world is so bad and unfair in a way that it's just gonna get better when the world burns. And that
That's
was
the way out.
the idea. Yes, that's the way out. So I needed to do a logo for it. I brought someone to do the logo. Me and brother, we scanned like several names, and then we came up with this.
That's quite apocalyptic, huh?
Yeah.
So it has a bit of what like the black metal logos look like, but not the style. It's close to the death metal, but it's not necessarily just the death metal style, and it's a bit unique. I see Batman in it somehow a bit.
Okay. Now there is something that maybe which I personally have, which is not maybe very common with maybe a lot of metalheads, is that for me, if the metal is good, it doesn't matter what it is. So if it is, I do listen to Halloween, like I listen to Cannibal Corpse, like I listen to Urzum, like I listen to Nagalfar, and all these bands, and
Yeah.
Creator, and Alice in Chains, and Typo Negative, and all these bands. So there's always a mix. And in this logo, I wanted something which would join Doom, Death, Black together, because
I see.
I don't only like death metal, and I don't only like black metal, and I don't only like doom metal or gothic or etc.
Good music is
So
good
I wanted
music.
something exactly, and I wanted something that I could do several stuff, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't sound weird. Now, although I like Biohazard and Propane, but it's not gonna sound hardcore. But it would, if it's doom, death, or black, it's still
Yeah.
gonna go okay.
Okay, I see. I might be causing you trouble with what I'm about to say. Some people will enjoy that, but I'm sure not the people listening to us now. Is you don't have an apocalyptic feature in the logo? There's an apocalypse. The end is only the end, and the only solution is the damage, is the destruction. And you have a dark character. I mentioned Batman because I saw a bit of a bat thing in it. So does that mean you have a savior from the dark? Are you here as Satan? Is this a reference to Satan?
No way.
I know I'm stretching it too much.
No way, man. No way.
I see.
They're just spider webs going down, like webs like going down, and there's the earth, which is half a skull, and half the earth, which is in a way we're destroying ourselves, and eventually the skull will take over the earth if we don't do something about it.
Yeah. So there's a question.
That's the idea behind it. Yeah.
There's a question from Muna. It's a very nice question. So she's asking, like, why did you decide to get a different vocalist for each track, and how did you choose them?
Okay, so mainly when I talked to my brother and we were deciding on like, okay, who's the vocalist? My initial reaction was like, I don't want one vocalist. I don't want to think and like put myself in a certain like niche line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we do black metal. We need someone who knows how to scream. We're like, let's do what we like to do, what we feel like doing, no strings attached, and based on what we are composing, then we get a vocalist based on what we're doing.
Yeah.
So if the feel is doing a black metal song, let's get a black metal vocalist. If the feel is doing a death metal song, that's it. On our next album, we have one song which is kind of mellow actually. So it's kind of dark mellow. So it's in a way not restraining ourselves to a specific style or genre, or it's more like let's play what we like to play, because at the end of the day also when we listen to music, I listen to music, I have like things, new stuff like Orbit Culture, like the Ghost Inside and these, and I listen to old stuff also. So I'd like to keep it open and not just stay in one like confine myself in one niche. So I decided to have several vocalists, and from this came the idea of why don't I try and make an album which in a way I would look at in like 15, 20 years, me and my brother, and say, okay, we've done something good, which is getting local people we look up to and international people we look up to try to be part of this project.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all interconnected in a way.
So it's definitely on purpose to keep things open, to keep the
Yes.
choices open. So you decided on the band name. You decided on or you got together as a band, the guitar player, drummer, and the bassist. You choose the vocalist. The genre is not specifically one thing. You change depending on what the track needs or what the lyrics need. You build the music around the theme. You choose a vocalist that would fit that theme. That's how
Exactly.
it would summarize the start of things. And you had already enough material to end up with an album, right?
Yes. Now the good thing is
Mhm.
that whenever I'm in Lebanon anyway, we've always jammed, me and my brother, the whole time. So we never stopped jamming.
Yeah.
So we had material, we had stuff that we had in mind, and being brothers, it also helps a lot because when we're playing, we in a way understand each other. So the way the composition was done is everything is composed in the studio while we're jamming.
Yeah.
And once we finish, because I'd go for like 10 days, and my brother would hate this because for 10 days I'd drag him down to the studio 3-4 hours and he'd try to escape a bit and I'd drag him back down. And like,
Yeah.
I only have 10 days, let's jam. And we did a lot of work. So we do these songs. When we finish them, we'd record the guides for them immediately.
Yeah.
And I'd have lyrics already like prepared for certain songs.
Okay. So you had at least a track ready to record. You had the lyrics for it. Let's I'm just writing a scenario or thinking of a scenario.
Yeah.
You had a track, you had the lyrics, you jammed, you had the tone, the music, the sound. You had it more or less ready track. I'm gonna take one specifically. The first track you released under the name When the World Burns, that was The Blood Owl. And you had the music and everything, but not yet the vocalist. Now what?
Okay, now actually we had 3 songs ready. We had Blood Owl,
Yeah.
we had Play Cold Man,
Mm-hmm.
and we had Endless Silence. So these 3 tracks we did the guides I did the lyrics for them, and we're like, okay, now what? Now it was approach. Who are we gonna approach? And this is where this was the stressful part, because I had never done this before. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna start approaching people, and if one, two, three guys say no, then it's like it's all a flop. Like, what's gonna happen? So I thought, okay, locally, who are like my friends, and who do I like also their voices.
Yeah.
So the first person I contacted was Walid.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked Walid. I always found he's a beast. I've always found, man, he's an amazing person. And I'm like, I need to do something with this guy. And actually, yesterday I was reading a bit the message I sent him back into 2018.
Back.
And he was going down. He was going down to Barcelona, I think, with Karim Sinno for vacation. And I told him, man, I'm doing this. Do you want to sing on one of our tracks? And then he read it and اختفى. I was like, okay.
He disappeared.
Yeah. Like, and then he came. I was like, oh man, sorry, I'm like going train, whatever. I'm traveling, and he's like, man, yeah, definitely. And that's when I was like, okay. And I sent him actually a demo of the track.
Yeah.
So me and my brother recorded like in the studio, whatever. So and he's like, yeah, sure. So that's when I was like, okay. Then I approach in parallel Gino. So the idea is, I have Weeping Willow, and I have Chaoteon, and like others from other bands, under one roof, and we're friends, and it's like getting this history back, or this childhood, putting it all in one. So I approached Gino at the time. He said yes, and I didn't know how to approach an international vocalist. Here I was like, what do I do? Like, okay, this first thing, fine, zabatit, alhamdulillah. What do I do now? So on my friends, first of all, I took my CDs actually, and I looked at who can sing on the Blood Owl, and I took the albums.
Yeah.
And I looked at my friends list, and I had Martin, who's the guitarist of Agatho Damien. And Agatho Damien is a band that I listened to since my NDU days, with the disc.
Yeah.
And I used to listen to it with a guy called Adi. And at least we listen to Agatho Damien. And I'm like, I have him on my friends list. I added him once because I sent him some Weeping Willow stuff to listen to at the time. And I just asked him, man, anyone close to you who would be interested in like singing on a track as a guest? And he's like, yeah, why don't you talk to Ash? And that's when I was like, okay.
Seems
Spent
like that's
maybe,
possible.
Exactly. Spent 3 days preparing a message which is maybe 2 sentences long. How are you going to approach? What are you going to tell him? You're going to tell him, yeah, I'm a guy from Lebanon. Well, yeah, that really helps.
You're worried about the prejudice, right? Being Lebanese.
Exactly. Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised if they do, after everything we've been through and everything that happened. So
yeah.
So actually, I sent him a message. He was really, really nice. But he's like, listen, before anything, I need to listen to it. If I like it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't like it. So that's when I sent him 2 tracks. And he's like, no, this is too death metal for me. I like this track. That's a solid track. I like it. And he's like, do you have pre-made vocals for it? Or do you want me to do the vocals? I'm like, I have vocals pre-made. And I didn't have, but I jumped into my car, put the music loud, and started screaming on my phone.
Yeah.
And just sent it to him. A couple of days later, he sent me the demos. Like, do you want to change anything? How do you like it? Blah, blah, blah. And we kept on messaging. He recorded it, and it was awesome. So I already had 3 in I had already had Walid, Gino, and Ash.
So like when the first one worked out, it gave you a bit more confidence. Okay, this can be done. I can get more people to be on the next tracks. Okay,
Exactly.
let's focus for a second on the Blood Owl. So the interesting thing when it comes to your releases is you're not releasing an album. You're releasing singles that will end up an album later.
Yes.
We'll get to the album in a minute. You gave the album a name. You gave the album an album art, which is totally normal. But you
Yep.
first have a single out with the album with a single art, an artwork for
Yep.
the single, and that's what I'm sharing at the moment. So this is for the track Blood Owl, right?
Yes. True.
And you released this one in 2019, so March 2019. So that's 1 year later after the Aramaic activity, and you got things going for When the World Burns. You started with the first single, 2019. What's the idea behind the art here, and who does the art?
Okay. So we had two ways to go. So we wanted an album art, which we got Paralysis to do. He's the guy who does the art for Immolation, for Exodus, and he's really good. So I was thinking I want something that I want something really like not something that I'm doing. I need like some of my heroes, if you want,
Yeah.
and like artwork to do.
Mhm.
I had two. I approached two. One was far too expensive, and then there was this guy, Far, and he was extremely nice. And he's like, do as many revisions as you want. What are the ideas? I sent him all the track names, and he loved the idea of the boatman, which is Boat of Shine. He's like, man, please, can I do this? I've always wanted to do the boatman. And I told him, yeah, go ahead. And we decided that this was going to be the artwork of the album. Now, for the singles, it's my brother who does everything. So
Okay,
Karim does all the artworks of all the albums.
so I'll share the main album artwork for a second, and then we'll get back to the single. So this would be the album artwork,
Yes.
and I would say it's a quite very
It's
nice
a
work.
drawn, it's a hand. I have the hand, also a copy of the hand drawn one,
Yeah,
like the pencil drawing that
this
that
is
he's done.
amazing work.
And you should see when he tells you, do you want to change anything? What do you tell him? Oh,
Nothing.
yeah, I don't like this pillar. Put it over there. And actually,
You can't tell him much, right? This is a perfect album artwork. I love it. Somehow, for some reason, also it feels like the Balrog is in the background coming in from the
now,
Lord of the Rings.
the idea is
Yeah.
that the boatman is taking souls from one end into to Hades side,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah,
where you have
they
the
flip
fire.
the coin. They flip the coin, and he takes them. Yeah. So it's a mythical story and the old story. But the artwork is, if you look at any movie or drawing of that boat and the character, it's never what I see here. This is a bit his own way, right? It's fresh.
Yes.
I see a lot of skulls, much more skulls than you see in the movies if they portray the scene. I see a lot of detail in the roofs and the ceilings. There's like sculptures and art in the walls, not just a cave, not the normal cave. It's done by someone. This place, it's built by someone, and there's the way the spirits are drawn and visualized. It's I like the jaws, right? Like they have a skull of a man, but not the jaw of a man. Looks like more of a beast, an orc or something, right? It's quite nice, and the boat is not the regular boat like also you'd see usually. So there's a lot of thought put into all the details, and that's amazing. Like you see the skeleton on the front. That's supposed to be the dead mermaid, I guess. So it's not the beautiful mermaid; it's the death mermaid.
He did an amazing job actually, and I changed very little in it. It was just like proportions, changing
Yeah.
proportions, not more than that. Even the way he did the water, like and that's what I wanted from the beginning. I wanted something original, something that I could look back to like in like 10, 15 years of time and be proud of.
I would
Because
use this picture as my wallpaper.
I have it as my wallpaper on my work.
I see already.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. Already.
Can I steal it?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
It's really nice. I like it. So this is the album cover. The album name is Boat of Sharon. That's the album name.
Yes, yes,
And the first track you released March 19, as I already mentioned, is the Blood Owl. Blood Owl, right?
yes,
So
yes.
I'm gonna just quickly check if there's any questions or comments from the viewers. Not at the moment. We're gonna listen to Blood Owl and come back to continue talking about the rest of the tracks and talk about the process, the approach to get this album at the end released or produced. So I'm gonna play Blood Owl. Let's.
From
It's quite an interesting track, quite a beautiful track. There's a mix of influences, a mix of style in it. You could always say it's more that than this, but that doesn't really matter. And as a lyrical, you could call you would you call this a lyrical video or it's
It's a lyric
close?
video, yes.
Yeah, but it still had some animation elements in it in the background and some motion and some story in it, not just
I was
traveling
lucky
along.
enough to meet the guy who I think lives in the UK,
Yeah.
and I told him I want to do something, but not like just lyrics popping on the screen,
Mm-hmm.
just to have something that goes with the lyrics. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, I write all the lyrics of all the songs, and I like to have some imagery that go with them, because that's the way I listen to. Whenever I listen to anything, there's always a picture or you imagine stuff. So it's an easy connection, and it makes it more accessible, or also to understand what the song is.
See, I see. It's a nice, simple visual. It doesn't distract you much from the music, but still, like the music is quite good, and it doesn't really describe what the band is. This is one single. The other single is not necessarily the same. It's another thing, and then the other single is another thing. So there's a diversity. There is, you know, more taste in every track, more different tastes in every track. So
So,
you got three tracks. You mentioned them already that you got the vocals for. Blood Owl, this is what we just listened to. You got Gino, who was the vocalist from Weeping Willow, and he recorded on Endless Silence. And
yes,
so let me just at least show the graphic work from Endless Silence. And you said your brother does the graphic for the singles.
yes, he does. He does all the work
Okay, so this is the Endless
based on the
Silence.
lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And this is also complete original work by your brother, or do you know
This,
how he processes these, how he works on them, his approach?
now we get pictures like from websites which you buy them, so it's not like you
Mm-hmm.
plagiarize or anything. It's like you basically buy these pictures, like, but it's not what it looks like. So this is just a picture of a doll, which
Yeah,
then my brother decided to destroy, basically. So or like a child or a doll from one side. So there are websites where you can get pictures based on what you want, and then you can modify them as much as you want, and then you have the rights of these pictures,
I
because
see.
you in a way buy them. Yes.
I see. I see. So your brother works on a picture that would resemble the theme of the lyrics of the song.
Yes. Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
would be Endless Silence, and there's the other track, a play called Men. It's
That's the one with
interesting.
Walid.
See?
That's the one with Walid.
Yeah, that's the one with Walid, but it's also Walid is in the picture. I remember
Walid.
I used to see Walid on stage. He used to have this
Oh,
gas mask thing. You remember it? Have you seen it?
oh, yeah,
So
true. I didn't think about it actually.
so Walid is in the picture somehow.
Walid
and
Laqata.
and he's also a plague. You could have called this a plague called Walid.
Also,
Walid,
his voice
Walid,
is
we
like
love you. Yeah, so
true.
it's also an interesting picture. It somehow, yeah, like resembles there's the plague in it, right? The guy with the mask, and there's the green plague around the globe, and it feels a lot like 2020. And it has been released on 2020, right? April
It
2020.
was released just before we did this before Corona.
Yeah, that's
It
what I
was like
wanted to ask, because the theme is the plague. And when did you write the lyrics? Before 2020?
yeah. Before 2020.
So it's like, are you Nostradamus?
No, no,
You
I hope
predicted
not.
it, it
My
seems.
ideas were a deep.
Yeah, so when the world burns and then comes the plague.
Then I need to think about butterflies and honey
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's an interesting connection there. There are bands who actually made the opposite. There are bands who, like I can call Haken, if anyone knows the band Haken. They
Yeah,
released an
yeah,
album during 2020 called Virus, and like they actually targeted their branding, let's call it, of the album or the whole theme of the album to stick with the most searched keyword on Google, Virus. So some bands use that, to hop on the, I don't know, on the keyword search on the Google engine optimization. But you wrote this before the whole thing and recorded it, I assume, even before that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It
So
was done before.
yeah. So it's a
So, yeah.
different story here.
But again, like Natalie's saying, plagues are inevitable. Yeah, which is true. They
Yeah.
are. It's
So.
always been a concept of or a topic.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you got to record Blood Owl with Ash from Agatha Diamond, and you got him also to record on another track that you also released recently in September 21, which is also the title track of the intended album, Boat of Sharon. So
Yeah.
this is a single released called Boat of Sharon, which holds the album name also by the singer who also sang on the first track we listened to. So
Yes.
I would assume that wasn't difficult. Maybe he liked the first track. It wasn't difficult to get him on the second track. That's okay.
No, no, it was good.
But then you had more courage to contact more international people. So how did you proceed to get the two guests you already announced so far and singles you've released so far?
Okay, now I was sitting with JM, and we were talking about. I'll talk about how JM got involved, because JM is in a way, if you want, a silent member of When the World Burns. He's very active with us in it.
Yeah.
So we're discussing, and I'm like, man, Jason, Misery Index, man. And I got introduced to Misery Index by Walid and Abed at the
Yeah.
time. And I fell in love with this band. And I was like, man, this guy's voice is crazy. And I approached the guy and I, you know, I told him this is the song. He said yes. And that's when we were like, man, the reaction at the time were like little kids just screaming, like, yeah, like going crazy.
Yeah.
Because, like it just shows we're doing something right.
I see.
That we're not doing it wrong, we're doing it right. He accepted, he's like, fine. He sent us a picture like of himself while he was recording in Finland. I respected his timelines because he's a busy guy, and he was very, very, very easy to work with. He even like went an extra mile, like changing some stuff here there. Why don't we make it this way? It's more interesting. So he gave his own touch, which was, I mean, I was beyond happy, to be honest.
So that went kind of straightforward. It seems like it
Very
wasn't difficult to
straightforward.
convince him. And
No,
again, you released this as a single called Warlost with its own art that your brother made again. And this time, instead of heroes holding the flag, we have a torn flag with just skulls under it. So it seems like the battle is over. Nobody won.
it look, the idea behind having this album art with each song
Yeah.
goes back to maybe the way I listen to music, which is, let's say if I listen to South of Heaven, immediately I have the Slayer skull or the Slayer logo, which comes up. When I listen to Emperor, the artwork comes up. So I wanted to relate each song, each like lyrical theme to a certain picture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this case, Warlost, it's because, I mean, this represents Lebanon, basically. We're just a country like ruled by people who just have a lust for war. So that was it. You don't get anything at the end. You just get destructions and a pile of skulls with a torn flag. So that was the idea behind it.
Yeah, and if we wanted to imagine that this is okay, it's over, it's calm. If I look on the background, I see like some pieces flying around. So the explosions are still going. It's nonstop.
Exactly.
I see. This is quite nice, quite interesting, and I see your point. Like associating an image in your mind when you're listening to a certain track. That's quite nice. And usually do that when you're listening to the whole album, which used to be a thing. You used to listen to a
Yes.
whole album. Now we listen to a single after a single. And we'll get back later and listen to one more track from When the World Burns. I'll let you choose the track. But before we do that, let's talk a bit about what's that? Releasing a single and then another single. What's the approach? Why did you choose to go forward this way?
Okay, so the idea behind it is when I was talking to my brother, I'm like, okay, so I live in Dubai, you live in Beirut,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go 4 or 5 times a year. And to do an album and release it, it's gonna take a lot of time. And to get all these people together, and okay, later we need to do videos and
Mhm.
one, there's not gonna be content. There's not gonna be enough content. One, two, there's gonna be a long time from the moment we release the first, we say, okay, we just did the band, hello, or When the World Burns, until we release the album. We don't know how long it will take. So we said, one, let's release them one by one. Let's give each song, I mean, in a way, its merit or the attention. So if I tell a friend of mine, listen, I just released 10 songs,
Yeah.
he's most probably these days with the attention span of most people
Yeah.
going to listen to one or two and then say, yeah, man, it's okay, fine, good, or whatever. But if you release every couple of months one song,
Mm-hmm.
he might give you 3 or 4 minutes of his time. And this came from once a study that we had, like in my job when we were working,
Yeah.
and I was writing an article, and work article,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted me to do like 3 or 4 pages. I'm like, nobody's gonna read this. So I'm like, even when you read on Facebook, a lot of times if it's too long, you're gonna skip it.
Yeah. Most people do.
That's
Yeah.
why exactly. So what I wanted to do is I didn't want to just to burn the songs. Yeah, okay, I did an album and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's treat each one as a baby, like so like okay, you just each one as on its own, give it its own merit, give it its time, write proper lyrics, do a proper like video or whatever we can do an artwork and release it.
I see.
And I think I mean this is the way we want to go. And then at the end, I'll just combine them all into one album and release a physical copy.
Mm-hmm.
And you get also the content. I mean, you're always active. You always want to do more this way. You're not discouraged by saying, I need to do an album. Man, I still haven't done anything. You don't know. Or
So
you have 1 or 2 songs that are
yeah.
stuck.
So instead of an album feeling like a mountain, you have like milestones being the tracks. That's one. And instead of releasing the full album, nobody has the time to listen to the full album. You give them those 5 minutes tracks, one after another. So
Exactly.
from a band's perspective, there's an advantage where you distribute the effort, and from the listener's perspective, he gets the music like one piece after another, so he gives enough time for each piece.
Exactly. If you like it, then I think he'll give it some time. If not, then if I release an album or not, it's gonna
Yeah.
be the same.
And from the social media's perspective, you have a post every 2-3 months with a track, with an image there, like check our new single. This is every time you revive your activity online.
Rami, it keeps us active.
Yes.
Because now, for example, it keeps us busy. We want to do more. Okay, we still need this to finish this track.
Yeah.
It's not, okay, I still need to do this last song. We haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
The whole album is waiting on this last song. So, and at the end, it's not about, okay, what you sell and how much are we going to sell and all of this. It's not the point anymore. It you reach a point where this is not what we want.
Mhm.
What we want just to release and share music that we have done with idols and idol friends,
Yeah.
and like get all of these people together under one album.
I see. So it in all aspects you look at it, it seems like a a proper way to do it, and there are advantages in the way you do it. Someone like me who's a bit used to, like, I want the album, I want to sit and listen for it for an hour. These are becoming I'm a unicorn now, right? Rare people who want to.
Unless
Yeah,
unless it is, let's say, Orbit Culture release a new album, Misery Index. I listen to it, all of it, you know. But then you've got those. I listen to this band.
yeah,
Oh, you know, one song, yeah, it's nice. Second, then okay, let me go to something else. If it doesn't really catch you,
I see.
see what I mean? So,
I
and this
listen.
way,
Yeah,
you give credit to JM on this, because JM was also one, was like, yeah, who was really pushing for this. Was like, man, do it this way.
yeah. I see what they do, the similar approach with Svengali, more or less. They have like a video for every track, and they push it on its own every now and then.
Because you've put a lot of effort on these songs, you know. It's so
Yeah,
might as well
yeah.
take it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, or eventually, I don't know how to say that. Even if you have any album you choose, any album ever released, there is always a track or two that are the most listened to, like double
Yes,
the rest, right?
yes,
Even if you put
yeah,
all exact same effort, there's somewhere like some lyrics that echoes with a lot of people. There's some guitar riff that echoes with someone else more, and that becomes like the hit. Of course, you don't always intend it to have like a hit track, but that's eventually how it ends up being. Yeah, so here we have also in our listeners, we have Carl, who's also an album dude. I'm not sure if that's an age thing.
but look, I have here maybe around 800 CDs. Like,
Yeah,
I love the booklet and the
yeah,
reading, thanks to whom to read the thanks list, and who produced it, who's the guest on which track. I love this. And even, you know, the smell of the booklet when it comes, when you open it, and this whole experience, it's nice.
yeah. See, I'm
But
leaning back because here it's all CDs around me. I collected almost every CD released by the local band, and a lot of international CDs. So I am one of those people who also like the booklets, likes to listen to the whole thing, likes to read like the story, who's behind it, who mixed it, who produced it. I like to know more because part of my curiosity, and also sometimes I find like a producer or a studio, and I go check what albums did that studio mix because I like the
yes,
mix. I'm not
and
following the musician; I'm following the mix.
And Rami, also,
Yeah,
we have our day jobs. The situation in Lebanon has not helped.
yeah,
Uh, Careers, you have families, kids, etc. So the way you treat this thing, you can't treat it like when you were 17, 18,
hmm,
nothing to do, getting drunk, making music, and it's a different era.
different era.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
back to a different era. A small comment on that. Like I am one also person who likes. I think the bands approached this in beginning 2000, where they started making more of that concept album thing, where every track is a continuation of the story. Mostly prog bands usually. And in that case, like if I want to really listen to the album, there's a melody that goes from the start of till the end of the album. There's a story of a character going through every track, and that connection between the tracks is another way for them to like force me to listen to the whole album, to get the full story. Like you don't want to miss an episode of your series, right? You want to know what happened to that guy, and whatever. So I think,
Weeping Willow done this, by the way, in
yeah,
Mentally Decayed. It was a concept album.
yeah,
It was,
exactly. Yeah, Garo told us that there's a concept there and explained the approach, but I think that is suitable for this single release thing, because if I watch episode 1, I want to see who's the singer on episode 2 and what's his story. If there's a concept going between episodes, I'm gonna be waiting for every episode, which is every track, right? To tell me the rest of the story. So maybe that could also bring back those concept albums. So through single releases, I think that would also work. I'm not sure. We shall see. Um, so far, both of Sharon, there are 6 tracks out. There is more coming out, right?
yeah.
How many tracks to come?
Now, after this, we approached Mara Lysenko, the female vocalist. We recorded with her Paralysis.
Yeah,
Then I wanted to approach Stefano Fiori from Graveworms. So I asked like if anybody knows him. I was talking with JM, and JM said, you know what, talk to Fadi, he knows him. I was like, Fadi knows him? Where does he know him from? It's like, Fadi
Yeah.
is Italian, his wife is Italian. She knows Stefano. So I called Fadi, I'm like, man, make this happen. I don't know how. Talk to the guy.
Yeah.
So all he did is he just put us on a chatting thing together. Oh, Stefano, meet Junior. I'm like, man, what are you doing? Like no, maybe it doesn't work.
Yeah.
He just threw me there, and it's like, yeah, just meet him, Stefan. And then I talked to him, and the guy just like was also so nice, so easy to deal with, and gave his full effort and more than I expected, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because we were expecting to do a lyric video with Stefano's song, and with the tracks came 2 additional files of him singing the songs.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, whoa, he recorded himself singing these songs. So I'm like, Jam lyric video is not gonna happen. We're gonna need to shoot video. The guy's done, like we didn't expect him to send these.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. We were like, whoa, that's
Y-
awesome, man. That's awesome. Like singing and being in the same track on a video with like your idols. This is out of this world.
Yeah, but so he got too interested, and he was nice to provide more content and more videos. And
Yes.
so that track is still on the work.
Yes, now it's we all recorded it. Now Jam is in Jordan. We're waiting for him to come back so we can mix it,
Okay.
and then we need to shoot
The
our
video.
parts.
Mhm.
Yes, our parts. So that's it. I think we're gonna need like a couple of months before we release it, and
Yeah.
we still have 2 more tracks with 2 vocalists. One of them, which we can announce today, is gonna be JM from Svengali Damage Right.
Yeah.
So he will be singing on the song "When the World Burns," which is the name of the band basically, and the name of the song. So this song is also nearly recorded. We still have some things to finalize, but we're nearly there with this one. And a final track, which I'll announce it soon. I'm just waiting for their final confirmation.
Nice. So you have JM who's working in the studio, but he's also guitar player and he's also singer. He is singing on one of the singles, which is the
Yes.
band's name, When the World Burns. Title track is the band's name, and you have a track which is the album's name. So this is kind of like a fresh approach on things, right? Like the who is doing what and how. I like this. So, when do you plan to have this out, or which track is coming first? Is it
Now
the video?
we still have. Now the first one should be Stephanos.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be The Devil Is Near. And then there is, it should be another track called Never Again. And then there will be When the World Burns till the end. Because When the World Burns, we want to do a video of all of us in the studio in Lebanon. So we need to find a time where me, JM, Karim, and Rami are all in the studio and playing this, recording the video, all of us together. So I hope this can happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. إلا إذا طلعوا لنا شيء جديد هلا we can
If
fly
things
there.
in Lebanon mess things up. Yeah, if there's no kerosene for the airplanes anymore.
Yeah, something
I hope
like
it
that.
doesn't get to that situation, Lebanon. There's an interesting comment from Carl. It's a musical question, and it's a musical comment. I really actually like it. I'm gonna be thinking about this for a bit. I think he asked it jokingly, or he said it jokingly, but he said you need to figure out how to write a musical cliffhanger. This is something famous in symphonic music, where you have something that you could call a cliffhanger. You stop at a certain note, and you don't know where's the next one. What is the next one? And you're telling a certain feeling. You're telling a story through a symphony, and it pauses, and you're not sure. Is it gonna be happy, sad, surprised, angry? And the symphony could end there, just pause or end there, and that's a musical cliffhanger. And I think if you have in your single at the end a musical cliffhanger, you have to wait for the next single to continue from there. So it's one way to connect the singles. It's a nice idea, Carl.
Yeah, I'll throw this on my brother. No, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, it needs its own research a bit on the musical cliffhanger. Um, let's see. So if you wanted to, let's do this now. Would you which track would you pick for us to play at the end of our conversation?
All right, just before that, if I can just, since we talked about JM, I'd like just to say how he got involved with When the World Burns,
Yeah,
because it's very interesting. Me and JM have been friends for ages,
yeah.
ages. So, and I, when I recorded the first track, I was doing it with somebody else, mixing and mastering. But this person who is a very nice guy, but not into metal anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want somebody to mix and record if he's not into the music. So by mistake, I was discussing with JM about what I'm doing. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm searching for somebody to mix and
Yeah.
record and do all this. And he's like, man, I'll do it. I was like, man, no way. Like, I got a friend who's a metalhead,
Mm-hmm.
and man, who's a hard worker to do all of this. Like, it's a piece of the puzzle that just came in, and he's very much
Perfectly.
involved. Yeah, it fits perfectly,
Yeah.
and he's very much involved in what we do. Yeah, I need to put the FJM, by the way.
Yeah, I already did that. Catch
Yeah,
up quickly.
so that's how he got in. He shoots all the videos, by the way. So anything that we've released with videos, he's done them,
Mhm. So
and yeah,
so it's perfect having someone like him. He works with the audio, works with the video, has his own also a band and project, and geographically is nearby. The whole thing just works
my
well.
neighbor, by the way. So it
Yeah,
works perfectly.
perfectly. Okay, so that's quite a nice cooperation there going on along the way. So you kind of describe him as a band member, more or less.
Yeah.
Right. So one day maybe that could be a possibility.
Now it's now he has his own project.
Okay.
The reason why I say he's a band member is that because usually if you go to mixing or mastering with someone or recording,
Yeah.
he does his job and he leaves, but he gets involved. He knows everything. He has all the When the World Burns passwords and posts and tells me do this, don't do that because I'm very bad with social media. And he's always, man, what have you done? Just delete this. You've done it wrong. You've tagged the wrong person. You've tagged this guy. You've done this. So
Yeah.
he's very much involved,
Yeah.
which is a plus. Which is a plus. So that's why I really consider him as somebody who's a crucial part of When the World Burns.
So he's helping you promote, helping you do the right steps because he's much
Yeah.
more used to it, I would say.
Yes.
Good. So I found like one of the few, I guess, pictures of the band when the word burns. That will be you on the left, your brother on the right, and Rani in the middle, right?
Yes. That's in front of our studio.
Okay, I see a lot of posters, different bands, different influences. So
Yeah.
now that we reached this part, as I said, wanted you to choose the track. We still have 2 to 3 minutes, or maybe a bit more, before we end our discussion. And at the end of it, I'll play one of your singles. So, which one would you like me to play as a closing single? And the people in listening could also comment and suggest what they would like us to play at the end. What would be your vote, Junior?
I'd go for Endless Silence.
Okay, so one vote for Endless Silence. I'll count it as two because you're the guy behind the band. And I'll wait for the comments if there's any other suggestion. And I still have just few small things to mention, to talk about, to ask you about. You mentioned that you play the drums not for the drums, but you like the music for the music. But anyway, when you're learning and practicing to play that instrument, you choose some people to mimic, to learn from, to see as a set goal. Like, I want to play like this guy. So, who are the people you would say are still today, like people you want to play like, you want to reach their level of musicianship?
Again, as I said, metalhead comes first.
Yeah.
So and drumming comes second.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the metalhead part that makes me want to get on my drum set and practice and put this metronome and sit 3-4 hours and just do these exercises, or
Yeah.
while driving have my pad and with one hand just just doing the push-pull technique and all that stuff.
You do it
If
while
it wasn't
driving.
while driving, I do it because man, there's a lot of traffic, so I just sit there and go tick, 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 on one hand and I'm driving with the other,
Okay.
just so that I
So you
or in the
you
office.
benefit from the traffic. The worse the traffic
of
jam, the
course.
better the exercise.
50 minutes of exercise before I get to work. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome. Yeah, now I see it's the bright side of traffic jams.
exactly.
I see.
So drummer wise, I would say I have like my main influence is and has always been Dave Lombardo from Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when I do rolls, when I do stuff, it's very much influenced by him.
Yeah.
And the drummer, like I would wish to reach his level, or my favorite drummer of all time is Adam Jarvis from Misery Index. Like this guy is out of this world. And it's not about just the speed,
Yeah.
or it's how fast he can play. It's just the way he gives the song what it needs.
I
Now
see.
there are also others. You've got Derek, you've got George Colias, you've got Kareem Krim. You've got these guys. They are beasts. I mean, you can't Flash God Apocalypse guy. You've got Martin. Also, you've got a lot of strong like drummers. But then there is this drummer because he fits the music well.
Mhm.
So I like Alan Jarvis because he fits Misery Index perfectly and he plays really good, and it just sounds so musical to me.
So let's go from the drums a bit beyond it, and you might not have an answer, but I'm just gonna ask. If you
Yeah.
want to pick one guitar player that you think, not necessarily technicality, I'm not talking about the guy who can shred it. I'm talking about the guy who makes
No, I
the
don't
riff,
know.
the melody, the whatever you enjoy. Who would you pick as a guitar player that is interesting to you?
Now, I'm more of a like guy who likes either riffing or like melodies. So I would say Hypocrisy, Peter Tactron.
Okay. If you go to vocalist, growl or clean, any specific
Like,
vocalist, like it's like the one that you think impossible to have on one of your singles, but the one you really want?
yeah, I'd say it's Paradise Lost vocalist Nick Holmes.
Okay. It's
Or
just
it's hard. It's this guy. It's also Peter Tactron. There's Ahsan also. Like this guy is crazy.
I would love to see us on one of your tracks. He fits somewhere. He fits there.
Man,
Have you
he's in
tried?
another dimension. No,
you
I don't
tried?
want to. I don't want to try. I don't want
Okay.
to try.
I think you should, but okay, we'll discuss it. One last thing. When it comes to lyrics, is there a band or a track or an album that like amazes you lyrics wise?
I would say first of all, Paradise Lost.
So you are a fan of
Like,
that band.
yeah, man,
You
yeah,
mentioned it a lot.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, Paradise Lost. But again, each band has its. You can't just name one band because each band has its own. If you want, when I was a kid, Metallica lyrics were amazing.
Yeah.
Like when Master of Puppets, I mean, like Sanitarium and all of these, Leper Messiah. When you listen to them and you're a kid, you're like, man, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Into Megadeth, Rust in Peace. You're like, this is good. Creator,
As a
like the
drummer,
old ones.
what do you think of Lars Ulrich?
Listen, Lars, we cannot deny that he was a very important part of the metal scene.
Okay.
Like I had the Lars Ulrich poster in my room.
I see.
When I listened to Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets. Now recently, doesn't mean much to me, but whenever I listen to the old tracks, nobody was doing what he was doing. So I'm not one of those who would diss him.
Bash
like
him.
say, he's a bad. No, I wouldn't. Because I've loved like Metallica for as long as I can remember. So it wouldn't be fake, no, at all.
I see. I see. And he still made some memorable parts, right? Like the track one, the double parts and all that. Is its own signature
Yeah,
kind of way thing. Um,
exactly.
okay. I just wanted to hear a drummer's opinion on that, because you mentioned Metallica specifically. So I guess I got the answer more or less: guitar, lyrics, drums, vocals. Um, let's go through a band. What about bass? Because usually a lot of not all, a lot of metalheads would not care much about the bass lines, the bassist behind the bass lines. Do you have an opinion on that?
Bass. Now, thinking about bass, the first name that pops in my head is obviously Steve Harris. It's
Hmm.
because being a main man in Iron Maiden, you could always hear his bass.
Yeah.
So and also if when we used to headbang,
Hmm.
one thing a lot of people us would do this, like
Yeah.
like so it's not only this, like you go like as if you're playing a bass, you mimic the bass.
Yeah.
And
The plucking.
and I'd say, yeah, I mean I love his sound. But if I told you like, okay, I listen to Animal as leaders or Gojira or the others, yeah, it's I mean, I've never given it a lot of attention. But you've got bands who have very good bass sounds. Listen to Overkill, for example.
Yeah.
Overkill have a killer bass sound.
Yeah.
Killer bass sound. You would know this is Overkill from the bass. So but I would say for me it would be like Steve Harris. Now you've got the fusion guys like Victor Wooten and all these, but they're really good, but it's not my style of music. I wouldn't
I
listen
see.
to.
Yeah, but in metal in generally, there are few bassists that shine, that appear as, oh, that bassist. You usually go, oh, this guitar player is the guy who shreds and whatever. Oh, the
Yeah,
vocalist is that, he's whatever, is the loud vocalist. He's great. He's amazing. He goes up in the notes, low in the notes. I just wanted to just kind of shine a light a bit on the bassist. Yeah. So as a joke question here, who's the best triangle player in the band, in the metal bands? Not many bands at the triangle
that's
so
over.
far. Yeah, I guess Carl would do it soon. Carl had the chicken. We are counting on you to have the triangle, Carl.
Man, by the way, those who haven't listened to Carl's band have to listen to Carl's band.
Mansfield.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
Mansfield. Man, I've listened to it when Jam was mixing it, and I was listening, and I was like, man, this is new. Like it's original, it's good. I like it. And now we also see I feel like that and like joke on either on Twitch. So this is very cool, and yeah, I mean, you guys have to check this.
Totally. And the artwork actually is again interesting. There's a lot of chickens in the artwork. They're trying to lay an egg.
Yeah.
And the inside artwork is interesting. There's also a poster that comes with it. And I like the music, so I quickly bought it, and I've been listening to it like almost on daily basis. It's a very fun album, diverse and
It's
and
very
uh,
obvious.
yeah, recommended. I hope to hear more, and I hope to see them live. So I was hoping to see the band live. I guess they
Oh,
had to postpone.
Gino
Uh,
said Cliff Burton, by the way. I need to, yeah, Gino mentioned Cliff Burton. I
yeah.
don't know how I forgot him.
No, we
Oh,
should we
that's
should mention that. That's a good mention. Also,
that's
Cliff Burton as
that's a
as
big mistake.
well. If you start to remember like the people, or
Yeah.
give it time and think about it, there is a list of bases that made a difference. Like Steve Harris made a big difference in the music and what it is, and yeah, Cliff Burton for sure. And there's a lot more. Um, I think I am already doing a Twitch stream where we're focusing on a special musician. So we're making a Twitch stream next Sunday, listening to metal tracks that are great because of the drummer. And on another Sunday, we're gonna go to a Twitch stream. We're gonna listen to metal tracks where what makes the metal tracks, what makes them great, is the bassist. So we're gonna start like, kind of filtering a bit the metal tracks that are great because of one musician in the band. Of course, the rest of the band could be amazing, but that bass line in that track made it what it is, for example. So yeah, there's a lot to talk more. I wouldn't stretch this too far now. I'll get to my final question before we close. And this is one I'm, let's say, sticking to for now, the closing question. And I asked this in the last talk with Adnan from Unmuted. And the question is, if there is a apocalypse, the world is burning, the world burns, okay? And you're very lucky, there's an escape pod. If you get on it, it's gonna take you to the moon. You'll survive, okay? The whole planet Earth will burn. You're going on a trip to the moon on your escape pod. And you
Hello?
have alone. Other people are on their own escape pods, and you have a CD with you. You have a CD and a CD player. It's your entertainment on the pod for the next 2 weeks. Which
Okay.
album will you take with you when the world burns? Pick
One
an album.
album?
One album for 2 weeks to listen to nonstop.
I'd go for now. I can't one, man. I'd stick another one like somewhere.
You'd cheat, huh? You'd cheat.
Yeah, like, it'll either be a Slayer album or it'll be Draconian Times. Paradise
Draconian
Lost.
Times. Okay, so
It's either-
back to Paradise Lost.
Yeah, man. I'm a freak. So,
Yeah, but that means that it is one of your top favorite bands,
Yeah.
and this is one of your top favorite albums, and you wouldn't get bored of it for like 2 weeks listening.
no, man, I listen to it so much. I think the band has listened to it as much as I have.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, you would be surprised. There are some bands who don't listen much to their own music. That's a weird fact. Okay, so Junior, we've reached the end of our talk. I'm gonna take a quick look on the comments if there's something to ask you, if there's something we skipped on. There is a story that I'd like at some point to like go back to uncover. Mona mentioned that when it comes to Arcane, they were planning to go for a third album, and then the band broke up. And if we want to know more, she said we should ask your brother. He should know better. So maybe at some point I'll talk to Karim. We'll pass by the Arcane history, continue to When the World Burns, and see where he's going from there. Junior, I'll leave it to you to say the final comments. Anything at the end you'd like to say to the people listening now or listening later on YouTube? When it comes to metal, music, anything in general in life, it's your closing words. And after that, I'm gonna directly play the track you selected, Endless Silence. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a big thanks to you, Rami, for doing this. This is awesome. Big thanks to everyone here in the chat. And a big thanks to, I would say, all the Lebanese bands that we grew up together, we played together, we've had our ups and downs together. Like, it's an awesome journey. And this is what we wanted to do, is to get all this community under one album, because at the end of the day, we're all metalheads, and it's not something that you have for a year or two. I've had it since I was 10. I'm now 42. I'm teaching my kid, and I'm gonna die this way. So this is something you have forever. So that's all.
So metal for life.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Junior. I hope we'll get another chance to talk again. For now, we're gonna listen to another single by When the World Burns. It's called Endless Silence, featuring Gino from Weeping Willow, ex-Weeping Willow, on vocals. Here we go.